before, there's nothing in this world that will stop me from being a parent to my children.
Those are the words of Denaya Young, who loved her 14-year-old son so much that she decided to discipline him with an extension cord.
A 29-year-old mother from Seattle, Denaya Young, has been charged with murdering her own 14-year-old son in one of the most disturbing cases I've heard in a while. And get this, she did it over some chores. So apparently, this poor boy didn't finish his chores. And instead of grounding him like a normal parent, Denaya decided to beat him for over an hour with an HDMI cord.
This is the shit that we talk about when we say that not all of you guys deserve to be parents, because you really do look at your children as this like punching bag. You guys look at them too as this release for your frustration. There's no way in hell y'all could tell me that she was beating him only because of the fact that he did not complete his chores. No, she was beating him because she probably had a bad day at work. She probably got into an argument with a lover, a family, a friend, whatever. She probably has a lot on her plate, whatever, but she doesn't know how to regulate her emotions. And so she came home and she beat her 14-year-old son to death.
Mary, a defense attorney went as far today as asking a judge to release this woman from custody, saying she's dealing with the trauma of the loss of her son, the same son who she is accused of beating to death for not doing his chores.
This story is as heartbreaking as it gets. A mother who took her own son's life in a moment of uncontrollable rage. A tragedy that leaves so many questions unanswered. How did a routine day end in such unimaginable violence? What led to this moment? And could someone have stepped in before it was too late? Denaya Young, a 29-year-old mother from Seattle, is facing charges for tragic and brutal unaliving of her 14-year-old son, Jeremiah Demetrius James Robinson. The details surrounding this case are devastating, but what makes it even harder to grasp is the sheer brutality of what took place inside their home. According to reports, Denaya came home from work and found that her son had not completed his chores. That's when her frustration turned into something far more dangerous. In her own words, she told him, "It's butt cutting time." Those words would mark the beginning of a horrifying ordeal that lasted over an hour filled with relentless punishment using nothing but an extension cord. Jeremiah tried to run, he tried to escape, but in the 3-story townhouse, there weren't many places to go. He cried, he pleaded, he told her he was dizzy, but Dana didn't stop. She thought he was lying. She kept striking him, chasing him, pushing him until he collapsed. Even then, as he lay unresponsive, she continued demanding he get back up. By the time she finally realized something was terribly wrong, 5 minutes had passed, 5 minutes where she stared at her son, unresponsive, before deciding to call 911. When the dispatcher answered, she admitted it. "I was beating him with a cord, and now he's not responding."
A Seattle mother has been charged with murdering her 14-year-old son, allegedly beating him for over an hour with an HDMI cord. 29-year-old Denaya Young said she hit her son because he hadn't completed his chores. This sweet 14-year-old suffered over 1,000 injuries to his body. At one point, he told his mother he was getting dizzy from the abuse, but that didn't stop her. The medical examiner believes the teen died as a result of sudden inflammatory response syndrome, which is when the body sends too much blood to different injuries and it can't support the heart. Denaya told police she lost count on how many times she hit her son. She told them she went too far.
One of the biggest questions in this case revolves around Dana's boyfriend, the stepfather figure in Jeremiah's life. He was physically present in the home when everything unfolded. He heard the screams, he saw the chores, and yet he did nothing. When police questioned him about why he didn't intervene, his response was chilling in its indifference. "I'm not even trying to have that type of day." He justifies his inaction by saying that it wasn't his place to discipline Jeremiah, so he chose to mind his own business. But now a child is gone, and his decision to stay silent is part of the tragic narrative. As the beating escalated, Jeremiah's cries for help filled the home, reaching not only his siblings but also the man who was supposed to serve as a father figure. Yet he remained passive, refusing to step in, even as the violence became unbearable. He later claimed that he was afraid to intervene because he feared Dana would redirect her aggression toward him. But was his fear truly a justification for watching a child suffer?
Okay, and I understand that pressure busts pipes. But them children didn't ask to come here. Okay? It is what it is. I don't know what she was going through. I don't know if it was financial, if it was in her relationship, or was she taking it out on her child. I don't know. But just because this baby didn't clean up for an hour, they said this went on for an hour. And as a boyfriend, a stepdad, you didn't stop her? Was you afraid of her? Ladies, we got to talk. Baby, go get help if you need help. Go hug a tree. Go walk outside barefooted in the grass. I don't know. Whatever you need to do, you do it. But I need y'all to stop taking shit out on these children. Children are blessings. They're innocent. They didn't ask to be here. It wasn't about him not cleaning up. It was about something that she had going on inside herself. That she let the devil use her that day. And now she's sitting in jail and can't be there for the rest of her children. And this baby got to be put away. So think about her sitting in that cell right now. I can't even say she don't deserve it. I can feel I'm yelling at my children for something that I'm going through. In a few hours, or sometimes a few minutes, I feel guilty and get myself together.
The indifference didn't end there. Even after the relentless beating left Jeremiah collapsed and struggling to breathe, he did not act. It wasn't until Dana finally panicked, when Jeremiah lay motionless on the floor, that he acknowledged something was wrong. By then, it was too late. The damage had been done, and his silence had played a role in the tragedy. When questioned further, he admitted he could have done more. He had seen the signs that this was escalating. He had the desperate cries for mercy, and he had been present through it all, and yet he chose inaction. His failure to intervene when it mattered most is something he will have to live with forever. A haunting reminder of a life lost that perhaps could have been saved. When the King County medical examiner released the report, the details were harrowing. Jeremiah suffered at least 1,172 injuries in that short span of time. Think about that for a second. Over 1,000 injuries on one 14-year-old boy's body. The sheer brutality of it was beyond comprehension. It wasn't just an act of violence. It was a prolonged, merciless assault that left no part of his body untouched. The report detailed 47 injuries to his face and the head alone, clear evidence of the relentless blows he endured. His body was covered in deep lacerations, welts, and bruises, each marking the suffering he went through in his final hours. His skin bore the imprint of the extension cord used against him, crisscrossed with fresh and older wounds, a testament to the systematic nature of the abuse. The force and frequency of the strikes weren't just excessive, they were outright inhuman, showing a level of cruelty that defies understanding. The trauma was so severe that it triggered sudden inflammatory response syndrome, SIRS, a catastrophic psychological reaction where the body, overwhelmed by trauma, desperately redirects blood flow to multiple injured areas. His system, already taxed beyond its limits, began shutting down. Eventually, his heart could no longer sustain itself under the immense pressure, leading to organ failure. This was not an immediate death. It was a prolonged, agonizing breakdown of his body's ability to fight back. He suffered until there was simply nothing left to give.
This is the shit that we talk about when we say that not all of you guys deserve to be parents, because you really do look at your children as this like punching bag. You guys look at them too as this release for your frustration. There's no way in hell y'all could tell me that she was beating him only because of the fact that he did not complete his chores. No, she was beating him because she probably had a bad day at work. She probably got into an argument with a lover, a family, a friend, whatever. She probably has a lot on her plate, whatever, but she doesn't know how to regulate her emotions. And so she came home and she beat her 14-year-old son to death. And now she's asking for sympathy, talking about that she wants time and she wants to be released so that she can grieve the loss of the son that she killed. Like, y'all be doing too much, and then y'all want to laugh at other people when they say that they want to exercise gentle parenting. Now, I'm not saying that gentle parenting is the best, you understand? I think that everything needs to be shaped, towards the child that you're dealing with. Sometimes you need to hit them on their ass, you understand? And sometimes you got a kid where talking to them thoroughly is, just as effective. But there's a reason why a lot of the new day, these new millennial or Gen Z parents don't want to use corporal punishment. Because we realized that a lot of our parents was taking out their frustration and their anger with other adults or other factors that they could not control, and they were using us as a fucking punching bag to relieve that stress and that frustration. And a lot of you guys have that mindset of, it was done to me, and I'm okay, so I'm gonna do it when I have my kid. No, a lot of y'all should not be fucking parents. And honestly, I hope God deals with you. I do. I hope you repent, Miss Lady. But I do hope God deals with you. I hope he does, because you should have never let your heart get so wrapped up into anger to the point where you crashed out on your son like that.
This wasn't a moment of frustration gone wrong. This wasn't a simple loss of temper. This was pure, unrelenting violence. This was a child who cried for mercy, whose pleas were ignored. A child who suffered in unimaginable ways, and no one to step in to stop it. This was something deeper, an uncontrolled rage that should never have escalated to this level. Yet it did. right within the walls of his own house, a place where he should have been safe. When the police arrived to arrest Denaya, she didn't deny what she had done. She took responsibility, saying that she had let her anger get to the best of her. After being read her Miranda rights, she admitted that she had lost count of how many times she had hit her son. Even more chilling, she acknowledged that she should have listened when Jeremiah told her he was dizzy. But by the time she realized she had gone too far, it was too late. What's even more disturbing, this wasn't the first time. She admitted to police that she had physically hurt her son before. Since November of last year, she had punched him, strangled him, and even used an HDMI cord as a weapon. The autopsy found older injuries, 10 to 20 marks from previous beatings. This wasn't a single isolated event. This was a pattern, and this time he didn't survive it. Dana was taken to King County Correctional Facility where she was scheduled for a bail hearing, but she refused to go. Instead, her public defender, attorney Zelena Jones, argued for her release, citing the trauma Denaya was experiencing from losing her son. Her attorney pleaded with the judge, saying this involves a mother losing her son and the significant trauma she is experiencing from that. Additional trauma would be inflicted if she is incarcerated.
Mary, a defense attorney went as far today as asking a judge to release this woman from custody, saying she's dealing with the trauma of the loss of her son, the same son who she is accused of beating to death for not doing his chores. There's a broken window at the home where police say a mother killed her 14-year-old son. A jail report says the woman told investigators her son did not complete his chores and she was angry. After an hour of beating the boy, police say he went unresponsive and the woman waited 5 minutes before calling 911. The boy went to the hospital where he died. The mother was booked into jail for murder.
Is he young? Is she intending to come out? Oh, no, you aren't.
At a bail hearing Friday afternoon, the mother refused to appear in court. Despite that, her public defender argued for her to be released from custody.
Given her limited history, in fact, it appears that she cooperated with law enforcement, and the fact that she has very limited resources, she should be released.
The defense attorney said the woman is in grief at the loss of the son she is accused of killing.
Our knowledge of the seriousness of these facts, this also involves a mother losing her son and significant trauma she's experiencing from that. I also argue there'll be additional trauma. On top of that, she's incarcerated.
Police outlined the disturbing attack in a report, saying the woman mercilessly beat her child for an hour, including using an extension cord to spank him.
This is all happened over an hour. The 14-year-old child, extension cords. He struck his head, he lost consciousness, and she continued to beat him, and then failed to call for emergency services.
Neighbors we spoke to said they didn't know the family well, and they hadn't seen any issues at the home until now.
She also argued that Denaya had limited resources and that since she cooperated with the investigation, she should be granted some leniency. But the judge wasn't moved. Prosecutors pushed for a $3 million bail, arguing that this was a violent crime of an extreme nature. The judge agreed, and with Denaya's limited resources, release was out of the question. She has since been formally charged with second-degree unaliving. As of now, she has yet to enter a plea and her legal battle is just beginning. Perhaps the most frustrating part of this entire case is that this tragedy could have been avoided. Jeremiah had been living with his aunt Denaya's sister, who had legal custody of him. His life with her was stable, a place where he was cared for, loved, and shielded from the chaos that would ultimately claim his life. Yet, for reasons that remain unclear, he decided to visit his mother in August. That visit, which may have seemed innocent and temporary, turned into something far more tragic, an extended stay that led to his ultimately death. Tragically, he never returned to the safety of his legal guardian, the only person who had provided him with the stability he needed. If Denaya had already demonstrated a history of anger issues, if she had used physical punishment before, why did she insist on keeping him with her? Was it an attempt to prove something to herself or others? A misguided sense of redemption? A desire to exert control over a son who was growing older and more independent? Did she truly believe she was capable of parenting him despite her own internal struggles and violent tendencies? And more importantly, why didn't anyone intervene when it became clear that Jeremiah was not in a safe environment? Did the system fail him? Did those around him turn a blind eye? Was there any moment where someone could have stepped in before it was too late? This wasn't just about chores. No parent reacts with this level of violence over something as trivial as undone household tasks. This was about something much deeper. The unresolved frustrations, the suppressed anger, the lingering pain from past traumas, all of it unleashed on a child who had no means of defending himself. A child who should have been protected, yet instead became a target of something far darker, something he had no way to escape. In the end, he was just a victim of his mother's violence. He was a victim of a cycle of trauma that no one stopped in time. Interestingly, Denaya's past gives some insight into her rage. She once appeared on the Karamo show on YouTube, confronting her father with deep resentment over his absence from her life. The pain and the anger she expressed were raw, intense, and deeply unresolved. During the show, she openly discussed how his absence shaped her childhood, describing feelings of neglect, abandonment, and an overwhelming sense of unworthiness. Could these deep-seated emotions have played a role in how she viewed discipline? Was her harsh and violent parenting style a reflection of the instability she had faced growing up? It raises important questions about generational trauma, how unhealed wounds from our past can manifest in ways that affect not only us, but also those around us. It doesn't excuse what she did, but it does add another layer of complexity to the story. How much of our own upbringing influences the kind of parents we become? And at what point does personal responsibility override past pain? These are questions that linger as we try to understand the full picture of this tragic case. Now the question remains, should Denaya be shown any mercy, or should she face the full weight of the law for what happened to her son? Some argue that she is suffering enough already, having lost her own child. Others say that justice must be served, that a life was lost and she must be held accountable. What do you think? Should the court take her trauma into account, or should the focus be on the innocent life that was lost? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on this case. Until next time, take care and remember, anger should never be taken out on those we love.